Hi everyone, welcome to this newest video. My name is Johan and together with me is a very special guest. It's Thiago from EG Innovations.
Hi.
Yeah, welcome at our Lightboard studio. So today we're going to talk about user experience monitoring, infrastructure monitoring, and basically everything that EG Innovations has to offer, right?
Yes.
So what would you like to explain to us today?
All right. First of all, we will get started with the application monitoring, and then we go into the infrastructure monitoring, where we would be covering more about VMware and other stuffs.
Right. Okay.
Right. Okay. So talking about EG, we've been into this industry for more than like 15 plus years, and we are some kind of pioneer when it comes to Citrix monitoring. But it's not only our cup of choice. So we are into other technologies as well, and we are on par with the technologies compared to other vendors. And currently we would discuss more about application performance monitoring when it comes to applications hosted on Java and .NET platforms.
Oh, really?
Which can be published in your VDIs or published as an application where users tend to use that, and we will be able to give you an overview of what is exactly happening when those kind of technologies are in place. So to start off with, first thing we would talk about is application performance monitoring. All right. And when we talk about application, as I mentioned, you could have any web applications or a website which is being hosted on your infrastructure, which could either be running on Java-based machine or .NET. So what we typically do is we would be able to monitor any application which is hosted either on a Java platform or a .NET platform, and we can give you a user experience. We will be able to measure the user experience, and we will also be able to go ahead and give you the business related measures which can help you to improve your business standards as well. So let me make it as business transactions. So first of all, what we're going to talk about is something called real user monitoring, which is where we go ahead and give you the user experience from an end user perspective.
So that's not just basically from, for instance, like a remote connection protocol. It's also in depth in those applications.
Yes. So yeah, so we'll be able to give you information pertaining to from which location did the user logged in, and which browser or which application, which operating system, and from which devices. Is it from a mobile or a desktop or a laptop? We'll be able to have that provided information, and we can tell you, saying like how long it took for the user to get logged into the browser, and then how long it took for the user to have the network connection established. Then we can tell you how long it took on the server side, like for all the server things to get showed up, and then we can break that up and show you the content download time. So for example, if the user is clicking on a specific option within the website, he would be requiring for all the contents to get downloaded. We'll also be able to tell you what are the contents downloaded and how long it took for each content to get downloaded, and then we give you the total time it took to launch the website, the total time.
Wow.
So by doing this, you will be able to see what is your website from an end user perspective. How good and how responsive is your website from an end user perspective. By having these details provided, this will help you to enhance your user experience. So we can show you what are the bottlenecks that users face when they try to access the website, which is being hosted on your infrastructure or on your data center. So when we talk about this, let me give you some introduction or some in-depth insight, like how do we capture it? So by default, we would be able to add a small snippet to the header file of the website. So it is a small JavaScript that we include. So what happens is that when users try to access the website, this JavaScript, a small snippet that is being added to the header file, gets downloaded on the customer's end, and that will execute certain tests. And that test will go ahead and give you all these measures that we have focused. So for example, we can tell you whether the problem is on the network side, or the problem is on the server side, or the problem is on the content download side. We would be able to give you the list of contents which are being downloaded, and we also give you a breakup of their time as well. Like a specific content took some time to download, and this one took around this, or a web page or an icon took so much time to get downloaded. So by doing so, you can breakup, and we'll give you a breakup and we'll tell you where the problem is. So for example, if it's in the content download time, you have to see what happened actually. Maybe it is not on the user side, but it is on the business perspective as well. So the problem could be on the server side. So in order to get more information on the server side, that is when we capture or we use business transaction. So it's the same approach we use. We will be modifying the script, a small script onto the startup file of the particular application. And with this, we will be able to get you a complete topology, which is an automated topology that we would be able to build. So we build the automated topology based on tag and follow approach. So we use an approach called tag and follow. What happens is like when a user clicks on something, we tag that particular request and we then go ahead and see the complete transaction. So what all things that are being covered on that particular transaction. So basically, if it's going to be hitting, for example, a user is trying to click on login page or logout page or just to browse my order or something, in order to see what has exactly happened, we'll be able to tell you, okay, the user clicked on track your order option, and with that, it takes you to the Java query or it takes you to the list of call types which are being used within that specific request, and we would be able to build an automated topology, which is a key thing what we would be able to do when we compare it with other solutions. But this is one thing which our tool gets highlighted. By having this done, we not only show you the topology, but we intend go ahead and give you in-depth analysis. We show you whether there is a problem with the database query or there is a problem with your code level. So we'll be able to provide you with a breakup of that as well, which will help you to find out what is the root cause of a problem. So because of this database query, the contents took a longer time to get downloaded, and that is in turn impacting the user experience. So we would be able to have these two things used to get the application performance monitoring or get a better user experience by having those two different technologies which we use. So the user experience is measured using real user monitoring, and this we call it as business transaction monitoring. When we have these two working on par with them, we'll be able to get a complete picture about what is exactly happening onto the topology. So with that, if this website is hosted on a VDI platform, which is running on a VMware or a Citrix Zen server or anything, we'll still be able to have this detail shown, and we can then drill down and we can monitor the hypervisor which is hosting your VDIs. In case if it's a Zen desktops or VMware desktops which are hosted, we'll be able to give two different measures from the hypervisor perspective. So from when we take the hypervisor model, one would be the hardware layer and the other one would be the VMs hosted on that specific hypervisor. So we would be able to give you measures from individual VMs for individual VMs, and we would also be able to give you measures from an hardware perspective as well. So when we talk about hardware perspective, we show you the operating system measures related to the hypervisor, the ESXi server, like what is the data store which is connected to the hypervisor, what is the used space, free space, similar to that, and then we show you the processor measures. And we not only stop with hardware, but we also give you the a high-level hardware measures on your fan speeds, what is the RPM in which the fan is running, and then we also give you the processor sensor details. Then we also give you the system board details, which what is the volt in which the system boards are running on the hypervisors. That's so that we not only give you measures related to the hardware, we also give you in-depth hardware measures, like not the operating system layer alone, the typical hardware.
So would you be able to integrate with technologies like NVIDIA Grid as well?
Yes, if you have an NVIDIA Grid running on your hypervisor, we'll be able to show you the NVIDIA GPU measures, and if it's being used by the desktops, we'll also be able to give you measures specific to individual desktops as well.
Really? Oh,
yes.
That's cool.
So let's talk more about this VMware. As I mentioned, this layer is going to be specific to hypervisor, and this is going to be specific to individual VMs or the VDIs which is running on that hypervisor. For instance, if you're monitoring this, we not only tell you what are the number of, we not only give you the number of VDIs running on that specific hypervisor, we also drill down and we give you the operating system measures related to the individual VMs. So for example, you have around 20 VDIs or 50 VDIs running on this hypervisor, we tell you what are the 20 VDIs that are running, and we additionally give you individual measures saying that what is the operating system measures like system details, processor details. We can enable browser activity so that even if users are using a browser or if there is a high browser activity related config, you can see what are the browsers which the users tend to access. If it's irrelevant, you can have them one, or you can close that, or you can do anything from your end to stop users from accessing the websites. And then we give you the network related measures, TCP related measures. And in case if your processor or the virtual CPU utilization is high on an individual VM, we'll be able to tell you and alert you that there is a high virtual CPU utilization for a specific VM, and we in turn give you a detailed diagnosis where we can drill down and say this specific process running on this VM is causing a problem. Right. So we can tell, for example, if there is a Java GUI or there is another application which is consuming high CPU, we can tell you this specific process is consuming high CPU. Because of that, your VM is having a critical alert.
Right. So VDIs on premises are well, they've been working. We've been seeing them in customers for a lot of years now. But what we also are seeing is more or less a trend to move towards the cloud or extend to the cloud. VMware announced VMware Cloud on Azure quite recently. They also have VMware Cloud on AWS and VDI platforms running on top of that. How would that integrate, or how would EG integrate with platforms like that?
Right. For example, in that is the case. Right. We basically monitor Azure and AWS out of the box. So, for example, if you have servers running on these instances, if you have servers hosted as instances on this, and you have those servers hosting an application, we would be able to monitor it by having an agent deployed. So you can install an agent, EG agent, and you can go ahead and monitor the application running on that specific server.
Right.
And when we monitor that, we not only give you the application related measures, but we tend to give you the operating system measures as well as to that specific server. For instance, if the application is running fine, but there's a problem with the operating system, you still get notified and you can proactively work on it to make sure that your instance is not having any problem. And it's gonna apply the same in case of in-house solution as well.
Right. So am I stating it correct that it doesn't really matter what kind of hypervisor is underneath it, as long as you install the agent, you will get in-depth information
about the application running on it. But when it comes to hypervisor monitoring, we don't require to have an agent installed.
Right. Okay.
So you go with two approaches. You can go with without agent-based installation, but you also have a thin agent which you can install it. So if you would like to get more data frequently, and if you don't like to give certain prerequisites, which is recommended from EG, so you don't want to give your domain admin credentials or something, which is a kind of a security violation or something, you can still go with a small VM agent, which you can install it on individual VMs or VDIs, and we can give the same level of measures as well.
Oh, that's really cool. Right, so Thiago, I already read some stuff about EG, and one of the things that you do is you provide an intelligent topology to the end user, right?
Yes.
So how would that work here?
All right. So since we have talked about everything on this, so we can build everything in one window. We call it as a topology, where EG uses a patented correlation technology, which will help you to correlate between the list of components. For instance, if it's a hypervisor or application server or database, you can correlate between all these applications using the correlation feature, and EG can prioritize which is a critical alert, which is a major alert, a minor alert. And when we talk about this topology can be configured in two different approaches. We do have something called auto discovery. So if you're going to enable this auto discovery, it's going to run this and have this build. The topology can be built in an automated format, or you can manually do the topology, which is a simple task. So we not only show up the topology, just when you look into the topology, what we show up is like we tell you if you're monitoring an entire service. So we consider this as a complete service. So for example, if we monitor this completely, we would tell you what is causing a slowness in your infra. For example, if there is a problem with the hypervisor, we would be able to alert you, telling you that hypervisor resources are being mostly used, and because of that, your application hosted on the VM is having a problem that is in turn impacting the user experience, where users take a longer time to access and log into the application that users are trying to access.
Right.
So that will help you to find out and tell you, just by looking onto the topology window, we can blindly say that, okay, hypervisor is the one which is the root cause. Because of this, the topology is running. So you can just double click on the hypervisor, which will take you to the hypervisor, and it will show you what is exactly causing the slowness. And you can work on it and fix it out so that this will be automated in the next cycle. So
cool.
This is all an automated thing. You need not worry about the alerts. So whatever alerts that EG pops up or shows up is a real-time information. And this topology is also refreshed for a timeline. So every 10 or 5 minutes or every 150 seconds, this gets auto-refreshed. So the value or the alert that you see is going to be a real-time alert every time.
So this all sounds great, right? And if I look at the drawing, it looks really complex. But you know, how long would it take to set something like this up?
Right. Basically, maybe if it's going to be a huge deployment, maybe with all the required information. So like we require some certain of prerequisites and other things. So if we have everything in on place, we will be able to have this completely up and running in 2 days.
Really?
2 days, you'll be able to see the data. So as soon as you install the agent and you add the agent for monitoring, it will start reporting the measures. So all we need to do is just fine tuning. The fine tuning may take 2 days or more than that. So implementation part, just 2 days would be enough for us to complete the setup with all set of prerequisites which we have discussed earlier. So that all we require is just install, run the agent, add the components for monitoring, and show the data.
That's pretty cool. Okay, well, this is really cool. Thank you so much, Thiago, for explaining this to us. So if you would like to know somewhat more about EG Innovations and all the solutions they provide, you can find their website here. Please reach out to the website to find all kinds of information, documentation about their solutions. For now, thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.